psychological statistics. Now we will continue with our videos in sampling techniques, and in this video we're going to talk about non-probability sampling, as we have just finished probability sampling. Now we want to emphasize that when you are looking forward to perform inferential statistics or inferential analysis in your study, do not, or as much as possible, refrain from using non-probability sampling. So this type of sampling is one wherein not all elements, not all subjects, not all participants of your population are given a chance to be part of your sample. So it's somehow subjective, in short. This is prone to selection bias because of just the reasons we have just said. However, there may be some and unique circumstances where non-probability sampling can also be justified. For example, in medical researches, wherever is possible, or some parts wherein there are some criteria that one needs to reach in order for you to be part of the population. So it may be seldom justified. Although we want to clear it up that generalization or generalizability of the conclusion, I don't know if such a word exists here, is not assured. So if you want your assurance of generalization, go to probability sampling, because with this type of sampling, non-probability, your generalization is not guaranteed. So therefore, if you are applying or when you are using non-probability sampling, inferential statistics, everyone, cannot be used here. So although there are some papers still that, even if it is non-probability sampling, they still have inferential statistics, we want to give a halt or stop those kinds of practices because they're basically wrong. Okay? So again, if you want to have inferential analysis, correlation, significant differences, those are inferences, or those are inferential analysis, making use of inferential analysis. So you cannot actually use non-probability sampling with that. So as much as possible, use probability sampling. So what are the examples of non-probability sampling? So these are some of them. This first one comes with a lot of names. Convenience and accidental are the ones popular in textbooks. But if you can see some textbooks that calls it voluntary, haphazard, grab, opportunity sampling, they're actually the same, though there are some unique textbooks that separates convenience and accidental. They are the same. Take note of that. Wherein, sample elements are selected because they are freely available. Okay, this involves a sample being drawn from the part of the population that is close at hand, which is near. That's why it's seldom called grab, because you just grab that participant or opportunity, because there's an opportunity that he or she is there. So this sample population is the sample population here, the sample that you can get here, is chosen because it is readily available and convenient to everyone. So therefore, as you can see, the title speaks for itself: convenient sampling. Number 2 is what we call judgmental or purposive or expert sampling. Some books even call this subjective sampling. Basically, all of them are subjective. So, judgmental or purposive sampling is a type of sampling where sample elements are selected based on researchers' judgment as to who best fits the criteria or criterion which are given here. So the sample that is selected is based on the characteristics of a population and the objective of the study. So usually for qualitative studies, mostly it will be purposive. But take note, in qualitative studies, they don't really give inferential quantitative, they don't give inferential analysis or quantitative analysis. So most of them are qualitative, which are more or less subjective because the themes are created by the researchers themselves. So again, for qualitative studies, mostly it's purposive. So that's it. The researcher specifically chose or is choosing the sample because they think that they are the best ones to get data from. Next is quota sampling. Quota, wherein sample elements are selected according to some fixed quota. So say you said to yourself that I need 50 men and I need 40 women for my sample. That's it. To make the long story short, quota sampling is basically stratified sampling without the randomness. Okay? So in stratified sampling, we divide them into strata, into homogeneous grouping. We do that in quota, but it's not random. It may be the first 50, or it may be the 50 or it may be the 50 that is in your contacts right now. All right. So basically, stratified sampling, which is not random. And we have snowball sampling, which is also necessary for some researches, mostly in qualitative researches. We use this when you are trying to reach populations that are inaccessible or hard to find. So you may try to consider this as a snowball from a hilltop going down. As it goes down, the snowball becomes bigger and bigger until you will have enough data, and then you can analyze from all of this data. Use this where existing study subjects recruit future subjects from among their acquaintances. So um, uh, one participant, he or she will refer you to another one. It's like it's really wherein it's like a snowball really, wherein at the end of the day you will have a lot of participants because there's a lot of referrals. Thus, in this kind, the sample group is said to grow like a snowball, increasing in size as it rolls downhill. As a sample builds up, enough data are gathered to be useful for your own research. This sampling technique is often used in hidden populations, especially for those which are quite sensitive in nature, and they are the ones wherein the ones which are difficult to find. Sample examples are like drug users. They don't come out in the open, right? Saying that they're drug users, or sex workers. They don't come out in the open and say that's their job. So you may want to use snowball for that kinds of samples or that kinds of population. Before we say goodbye to sampling, I would like to say some remarks on sampling first. So we have potential sampling problems before we end. So take note that we may have or experience missing elements. So samples or individuals must be in your sampling frame. For some reason they are not. So if ever imagine if you're using systematic sampling and there are missing elements there, it will have a bearing on your patterns in your systematic sampling. Foreign elements which should not be there are there for some reasons. For example, when you talk about dormitories, if that's your population, you may interview someone which is outside from that certain city, just because he is present in that dormitory. So those are foreign elements. Okay, and duplicates. Seldom, well, human beings are not perfect. Seldom there are duplicates in the sampling frame, which will have a bearing in your randomness in your sampling techniques. Okay, for example, in your stratified sampling, instead of there's only 2 Reyeses, there became 5 Reyeses right there, wherein 3 are duplicates. So instead of just getting this number of sample in that strata, it became this because of that duplicate. So it will have a bearing in your sample size. So those are some problems in sampling. I hope you got that, and this is where we end our video in sampling techniques. I hope you learned something in this video, and I will be seeing you in the next video that we will have. I think that this is our last, which is data collection procedures. So thank you very much.